What's your biggest fail when it comes to online dating? I was talking to a girl who mentioned that she was into photography and I asked her to send me some pics. She thought I was asking for nudes, so she deleted and blocked me. I talked to a girl who lived in a town 25 kilometers away. She was nice and pretty, so I asked if she wanted to meet up and she said yes, so we met up at her farm. She was a terrible conversationalist. I couldn't get her to talk about anything, and when I talked about myself she seemed really bored. I was halfway though a sentence before she interrupted me to suggest going to the takeaway shop in town. We went there. Still terrible conversation. Decided to talk about my trip to London, and that actually got her going. She talked for 5 minutes about how she always wanted to go to Canada as a little kid and that the next year she was finally going to get married. Honestly thought she was joking, but later realized she was serious about it. The rest of the date went pretty crap too. We didn't watch a movie like we planned. We watched the rest of the movie she had started watching the night before. She took a bite of her burger and threw up in the toilet for 10 minutes because it was too greasy or something. She then suddenly remembered she had to go pick something up from a mate 70 kilometers away and I needed to leave immediately, so I did. Had no interest in dating her after that, obviously. The next day I decided to text and ask how she was, cause she mentioned going through depression recently and I didn't feel right just ignoring her after that. It's been almost 2 years since that date and I am still waiting on the reply. And lastly, my 4th date on a dating site went horrible as well. I thought this girl was perfect and we actually spent the whole day together. When I got home we still talked and I thought it was a sure thing. 2 days later she stopped messaging me altogether and told me the day after that we need to break it off because she recently started seeing someone else and feels bad just abandoning him like that. It broke my heart, but we remained friends. I asked her out again a week later and she said yes. We've been together a year and a half now. This, right here, that's exactly what this thread was made for. Amazing. I met with this very attractive woman off upper middle class Tinder, Bumble. She was way hotter than me. At some point during the evening, she leans forward on her bar stool, narrows her eyes and goes, "I know there was some reason I swiped right on you." Because at this point she could not remember. Putting all my eggs in one basket. Once I start a conversation with one person, I just stick with that person until I know it's not going to go anywhere. I can't deal with trying to remember stuff about 2+ people at the same time. I don't mind though if the person I'm talking to is talking to more than one person, as long as if we're on a date, they're not on the phone to them or mix us up. Casually dating multiple people is exhausting. Plus I always get drunk and mix up details between them, and women do not like that. I matched a girl who looked really cool and complimented her hair. She responded with something along the lines of, "I'm so glad you messaged me. Most of these guys just match and never message." I've seen almost exactly the same line before from bots, so I assumed she was a bot and said something snarky about it. She replied, upset, and then unmatched me. Someone once asked if I was a bot. I replied bleep bloop hello and they unmatched me, whatever, I'm hilarious. Her husband. You have no idea how many neglected wives are out there online and they love to omit the fact that they have husbands. Watch out for the MILFs. She'll break your heart and her husband will break your neck. Not being exciting or witty enough in the text game. In real life my expressions and demeanor save me, not so much online. I'm the opposite. I'm so smooth over text but super awkward in person. My texting personality and in-person self are basically two different personas, which is probably off-putting. She was being flirty but I just kept asking, "How's your day going? What are you up to?" and other generic questions until she stopped and never messaged me back. Step yo freak game up, son. Chatted with them a year by phone. Once we met we had nothing to talk about and it was the most awkward encounter of my life. Sometimes chemistry fails to translate to viral. If it was a good fit, you would still have had topics of conversation. Oh man, the first time I contacted someone, it was via the Onion personals, which were really a thing in 2005. I just made fun of a band she said she liked. I wrote something like, "My only problem is that you are into band." She replied, as she should have, "My only problem is that the only thing you offer is a criticism." I still cringe. Getting hundreds of matches on Tinder but not going on a single date with someone I initially met from the app. I always match with ads. Matched with someone on a dating website before Tinder. Got to talking. Seemed like a chill dude. Even though there were red flags, he insisted we were dating before we met and I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone. Agreed to meet up with him at a cafe by work. Organized with my receptionist, she would ring me at an allotted time and tell me I had to come back to work. So I had an out. Met with the guy for coffee. It seemed well enough. Then my girl rang me. So I told him I had to get back. His response was, "I've got my work van here. Do you want to jump in the back and have a quickie?" I noped out of there and went back to work. A couple of months later he ended up coming into my work to see my boss. I made polite small talk with him, then when he left my boss called me into her office to ask how I knew him. It turned out he was married to my boss's niece and I dodged a freaking bullet. Update. Sorry to leave you all hanging. Boss believed me, and we never spoke of it again. I was too embarrassed to raise the subject again because I keep my private life private, and her because I assume she kept that crap between her and her niece. My boss was also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so not the person to frick with. Yes, I should have known better when he got possessive straight out the gate, but I was young, insecure, and lonely. It's not a crime to want to be wanted, but good lord was I a naive fool. Dated a guy who was in a Poli-C PhD program. Confirmed. Who had a law degree. Confirmed. But had left practice because he didn't enjoy it. Nope. Had been arrested for a federal hate crime as a neo-Nazi and was ineligible to practice. Thank God for Google. I'm slightly leery of trusting Google like that completely. I'm a regular working schmuck with no criminal record, but someone with my identical name was arrested and convicted of corporate embezzlement from his own company or something like that. When I connected Spotify my Bumble profile, and unbeknownst to me, 3 of my top 10 artists were the Wiggles, High Five and Blippi. Pretty sure I missed a few connections because of that. Do the propeller. Do the propeller. I thought I had a pretty sick pickup line, which was, "You're so cute you make a baby deal look like a pile of crap." Needless to say, I'm still single. Thanks man. I needed that laugh. Using Plenty of Fish, the free dating site. It was like the Netto of dating sites. I chatted briefly with one woman before telling her I was going out for a few drinks. Next day I checked my messages and she had sent some. It started with, "Why don't you come round to mine and get drunk together?" Progressing to, "Why are you ignoring me?" Then to, "I think you're gorgeous and we will be good together," and finally, "Don't you freaking ignore me." I sent her a message the next day to never contact me again. Went on a date with a girl from Tinder one time who told me that she found children very attractive. After that I stopped mentioning that I had a child on my profile, and took down the pic of me and my daughter, and just brought it up with the girls that I felt were likely to stick around after meeting in person. I tried Tinder, stopped when it was searching so wide it started showing me women in neighboring countries. Didn't get a single match. I used Tinder and Bumble and it's now showing me women way outside of my radius, and most of them live in a different part of the country and are just around for the weekend. 0. I was 18. Just registered to Tinder because I wanted to get my first girlfriend and stuff. Then I match with this beautiful girl from Switzerland. She is staying in the city for 2 days and want to meet at her hotel to have a fun time during the afternoon. My 18 years old self didn't see anything fishy in that. So 30 minutes later I'm at her fancy hotel waiting for her to come down to pick me up. But she says she is waiting for her mom to leave. So I wait for about 20 minutes and I see an old man checking out of his window. So I text the girl that there was a creepy old man being afraid that I was going to rob the hotel or something, haha. 10 minutes later she tells me that another dude is arriving and that she invited him before me but he couldn't come, so she invited me after. So we would have to decide between the two of us who would get the girl. I saw the guy arriving, a handsome looking, mid-20 guy, and so I started to explain the situation to him and that we should just play rock paper scissors or something and not think too much about it. And he accepted, hahaha. I was so surprised. He lost. I won and left without a word. The girl then tells me that in the end her mom isn't leaving so we cannot meet. I text her it's okay and wish her a good end of holidays and that maybe we will meet in Switzerland one day, who knows. 20 minutes later I receive a text from the girl telling me that in fact she was a dude. The old dude that I saw looking out of his window. He was a retired man with no real hobby and had fun doing this kind of thing and watching sometimes dudes even fighting to get to frick his fake profile. He never told anyone but me because I didn't insult him and I resolved the problem with the other guy pretty simply so he knew that I wouldn't get mad at him if he told me. After that I talked to him for an hour about how he should find another hobby like gaming, reading or something, and after that we never talked again. I felt really sad for him in the end because he didn't have any family or friends, but all this was really fricked up. Since then I never tried to meet an online girl directly at her hotel. That's an amazing story, dude. Finding a wonderful guy and then cancelling the date last minute because I wasn't over my ex. Joke's on me. We rematched 10 months later. He gave me crap about my behavior last time and told me because of that I had to come up with an idea now. March will mark our 1-year anniversary. Tell us how you find the wonderful guy. We need pointers. Assuming that the stupid OkCupid match percentages meant anything, I did a bunch of the questions and, being a person who believes in numbers and statistics, mostly attempted to chat up guys who were, apparently, 80-90% similar to me. 50 plus messages over a 8-month period and 3 unsuccessful dates. But it worked out in the end. I reached the Jane Goodall observing primate behavior level of not giving a duck. Saw a decently attractive man around my age. Also, so many people try to get with you despite being 20 plus years older, with an interesting profile and a 70% match, and sent a question about his work. We're married now. My husband and I were matched at about 67%. Part of why I didn't reach out to him initially. Apparently you and I had a similar experience. I always made my bio too long. I really took the time to type it up, even after realizing no one read them. I had more fun making the bio and answering the questions than using the site for what it was for. OkCupid. Also couldn't stand one-word answers and ended up writing paragraphs. I'm really bad at talking to people through text, I guess. I end up befriending the girls I meet instead of dating them. To me, a girlfriend should be a friend too, but that doesn't work for most people, so I just have a lot of friends now. Which is all cool until you end up crushing after one of them who doesn't feel the same way about you. A girlfriend should be your best friend. I don't really understand when people say there so isn't a friend. Thank you for the gold, stranger. Merry Christmas. Guys keep wanting to come over to hang out. I live alone. Not comfortable having someone I never met over. It's a major turnoff for me. Therefore conversation ceases there. Hahaha, as a guy I'm scared of meeting people in real life or private settings too. I realize the risk is bigger for a girl, but I'm still scared of accidentally agreeing to spend my time with a crazy person. Most of the fails are typical not super hot guy problems. Almost no matches or messages, depending on the site. The biggest fail in my ex. We spent 5.5 years together. I was super supportive of her, getting her on her feet in life, covering expenses for the first 2 years until she stabilized, helped her find her first job, helped her through college, helped her get her first job after college, helped her with her first job after college. But then the moment I start struggling with money finding a job, we moved across the country for the one she got, she kicks me out. I mean, I was struggling for a while. About a year, a month after she kicked me out, I managed to land a job. Good times. One time I chatted with an actuary, risk manager, but I thought he was an aviary, a giant bird cage, so he blocked me. I was 20. Reminds me of the time I learned the hard way that a mongoloid is not a person from Mongolia. I went on a Tinder date with a chick one time and her profile gave off no red flags and the way she messaged and texted also gave off no red flags. I get to the bar and she looks a little different, but I'll let it slide. She begins to tell me she forgot to take her bipolar meds so she shouldn't drink too much, then proceeds to have 5 Long Islands by the end of the night. She tells me she wants to come back to my place, so we go back, watch a little TV and her phone rings. She silences it. I didn't think too much of it, then it rings again, and again. I finally ask and she says that's my old man. He couldn't hold me down. I tell her okay, well I'm not one to get between people, and I offer to buy her an Uber home. She whines for a while, but I was done with her on this date. The Uber eventually pulls up and I walk her outside, and what a coincidence. Here comes her old man. The guy comes at me trying to get in my face and she starts yelling at him, calling him a psycho for tracking her phone. They start arguing pretty bad and I slowly start backing away. Within 5 minutes, they were making out in the back of the Uber, which BTW I got charged $15 for making him wait, and he eventually told the Uber to go. He was gonna drive her home. And there was that. I went back inside, hit my bong and watched Rick and Morty with my cat. Now that's how you end a story. Talked with a guy a lot over text for a long time, getting pretty close. One time I was doing shopping with a friend and we decided we would go see the last Star Wars movie before heading back to her place to get ready for a party. Sent him a text asking if he'd like to join us for the movie. I didn't realize he had to catch a train. Came in late. Smelled terribly. Kept trying to talk to me during the movie. I hate that. Tried to convince my friend to leave us for the night but I was supposed to sleep at her place and he didn't live in the city. I didn't want to be left alone with him because he gave me creepy vibes. After that I told him I didn't want to keep in touch and kept sending me drunk texts even after months of no contact saying I was the move of his life. Ended up calling me a B and then apologizing by making a website with a letter on it. I blocked his number. Agreeing to meet up with a guy whose profile said he was in prison for several years for a non-violent felony. High school me was stupid. Tell us the tale, please. Sending two men a texts and scaring them away. I now know how annoying it can be. Time zone differences don't mean you have to send a million messages at a time. They could be working, or sleeping, or just out with friends. Make profile. 0 matches. Give up and delete. Wait 1-2 years. Make profile. No matches. Give up and delete. Now that 100% of the platforms lock you out of messaging unless you're being matched first, online dating is pretty much dead to me. I went on a date with a girl and 2 weeks later she died of acute pancreatitis. I'm convinced it's because she went on a date with me. Getting a free trial of Tinder Gold on an account I'd had for at least 8 months in 3 main geographic locations, and proceeding to swipe right on every single one of the guys that had liked me, all 2,500 of them. Nothing other than anecdotes and thousands of messages has come of it yet. Oh also, I did this at 9 PM the night before a huge college math exam. Procrastination at its finest. 2,500. Cries with 0 after months. Girl sends one word message hi. Okay, it's not easy starting a conversation, so no problem. I reply with a medium length message. I comment about some interesting hobby mentioned in her profile and ask for more details. I tell her about my day, some other random stuff. Overall a good effort. The next day she replies, hi, how are you? She was pretty. We met online, dated for several years. We had our issues, but we always worked them out. On Christmas morning, yesterday, she was in a foul mood. Told me to take the presents she bought me and to leave her house. Didn't even want to open the presents I got her, including a diamond engagement ring. It still hurts this morning. Ouch, that hurts to read. Hope the situation clears itself up. Shed probably sad about it too if she knew what you had in mind. I tried Tinder for a while. After a month or so I contacted and was talking with this girl and things seemed to be going well. We had similar interests in music and movies, similar sense of humor, etc. Eventually we were talking about hobbies and I casually mentioned I played Magic the Gathering. Immediately unliked. Like, she had time to receive the message. Click the menu and hit unlike. That fast. She knew you have no money for dates. Expecting an instant connection from text 1 and then being disappointed not meeting up or going on a second date when there aren't fireworks the first time you meet for coffee. Don't get me wrong. Instant connection and a spark upon meeting is definitely possible, but far more often, two people with zero personal or physical connection are meeting for the first time off an online dating site. They need to figure out if they can physically exist in the same space comfortably before seeing if there are any romantic or sexual sparks there. I think a lot of people mentally skip this step, so when they do meet someone from online, they can have a pleasant enough time. But because so much of that first date was just taking that person in and getting comfortable, they won't necessarily feel chemistry and then get disappointed. I had a nice time chatting but I didn't feel anything. If the conversation was there and you enjoyed the other person's company, go on the second date and those elusive feelings may actually arise. Because now you're over the hump of being comfortable in the other person's presence. If you still feel nothing after date 2, then no harm no foul. Go your separate ways. I think a lot of potential relationships die before they can start because we have this preconceived notion that you must feel something right away, and if it's not there immediately, it's not pursuing. Only met up with one from all the matches I had. He looked like Orlando Bloom. Got so nervous although he was very nice to me. Turned out he just wanted sex and I left, haha. You made the right decision. Please post recent photos of yourself. My one friend's online picture show him 40 pounds lighter from a few years ago. My other friend's photos show her from 11 years ago. She thinks she looks the same. She does not. And they both wonder why they are not having success with online dating. I went to go meet this girl for the first time and I go to pick her up. It's dark outside and I stop in front of her house. As I am waiting for her, this girl opens the back door of my car and sits in the back. Keep in mind it's dark outside, so I say hi and tell her it's nice to meet her and if she would like to sit up front. She's insisting she's okay in the back and we should start driving. I find this kinda strange that she wants to sit in the back as if I am her driver. I keep insisting that she should sit at the front and it's strange that she wants to sit in the back. Again she says she's okay in the back and I should drive. At this point I figure at least she in my car and maybe she's shy because it's our first date. I start driving and I am having small talk like how was her day and I am glad she decided to meet me. She's giving me short answer and quiet for most part. We are approx 2-3 in our drive when I ask her if she's okay going to this restaurant I know. At this point, she goes, I only called you because I need a ride. I am not here to date anyone. So I am really annoyed by now and I tell her I am not her driver and I only came to pick her up because we were gonna hang out and go eat something. Now she's also annoyed by now and tell me if I don't stop the car she will call the police and is ready to jump out of my car. I pull over and tell her she's crazy if she think I will drive her home when this was supposed to be a date. She tell me I don't date random Uber drivers. Long story short, the girl that sat in my car was a different girl as she mistook my car for an Uber that was supposed to pick her up. Thank God I had the dating app to show her. Imagine she starts screaming and called 911 secretly and I get surrounded by the police. At least I had a great story to the when I went back to pick up the right girl. I have a very dry and sarcastic sense of humor that works great when I can use vocal inflection and body language. But a lot of the time I just seem like a prick if it's read over text. Here's a different kinda story. Was on a dating site talking to this guy for about a year. I'm not hugely confident so took me that long to suggest we meet. His response was to delete his account. About a month later an account with a similar name messaged me. It was him. He apologized and asked if I would forgive him. He'd just be nervous and would like to talk again. We talked for another 6-ish months, with me thinking, I'm leaving it up to him to suggest we meet. Eventually we met. Both quite scared. Hit it off and chatted the whole night. He proposed a little under 3 years ago and we've been very happily married for a year and a half. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.